My dear 12th class students, today we will go through an interesting story titled as The Devil Outwitted, and this is written by M.L Sadhu. This is basically a folk tale of Kashmir. Well, I'm sure you have read different stories on different themes written by famous well known writers. And one genre of stories is called folk tales or folk stories. They are traditional and popular stories about simple, common, unsophisticated people and are passed on from generation to generation. So, storytelling and folk tales is a rich tradition in many places, in many states, in many countries, and also in Kashmir. This is one of the most interesting mode to engage children. And earlier, children and other members of a family would gather around their grandparents, their grandfather, their grandmother, and they would hear their favorite tales. These grandmothers, grandfathers may have heard the same stories from their elders, and those elders from their elders, and so on. Some interesting facts about folk tales are like the earliest folk tales appeared in Egypt in about 2800 BC. So, you may find the similarity in the folk tales as you find in their faiths, in legends, myths, etc. Not only each country but each state in India has its folk tales. And similarly, we have folk tales in Kashmir. These folk tales are about traditional learning, like a group of students that gather together during a specific period of the day to learn, and one develops narrative skills, imagination, and one can develop and learn a new language. And similarly, they may be about myths, means false belief concerning some heroic events, or maybe supernatural humans. These folk tales are also about sagas, that means a long story of heroic achievements, or maybe series of events are there. And sometimes these folk stories are about a race, that means stories based on particular group of people with different physical and social qualities. So M.L Sadhu is a well-known Kashmiri writer. He has translated many folk tales of Kashmir in English. Folk tales from Kashmir has it has he has written a book, folk tales from Kashmir, and it has stories like the precious present, the son-in-law, the inauspicious bride, two brother, the patwari, and the inexperienced villager, and Akanandun, the village teacher, the professional wedding guest. There are so many stories which are included in that book. So let's move towards the story, The Devil Outwitted. Devil means the supreme spirit of evil, having power to afflict humans both with the body disease and with spiritual corruption. And outwit means to beat, to defeat. So to outwit means, if you outwit someone, means you use your intelligence or a clever trick to defeat someone. So the title is The Devil Outwitted. This story is known to be a popular Kashmiri folk tale. The Devil Outwitted. The story is about a young, hard-working man who, with his hard working, who with his intelligence was able to achieve his aim, able to achieve his ambition to get land. So let's move to the story. Once a young man lived in a village. He didn't have land, a villager, a person with no land at all. So he worked on the farms of few landlords, one after the another. So this was a source of his income. He didn't have land of his own. He had no land at all. So he worked on the farms of the few landlords and earned his living. So he was handsome and hardworking. So he got married. His wife was very attractive in looking and a woman with good temperament. She shared the burden of her husband's work, and both of them lived happily together. One day, the peasant's wife was returning from the spring with two pitchers with two containers of water on her head. Pitcher is basically a large jug, or you can say container, and other women were also following her. Other women were also there. So while returning from the spring with the two pitchers on her head, the other women were also there. The other women started taunting her. They started passing comments against her husband for not having a piece of land of his own, because they didn't have any land. So the woman started commenting, the woman started uh, taunting her for not having a piece of land of their own. They commented like they are landless beggars. She felt insulted and told her husband about all the taunting, about all the comments of people, of the other woman, about being landless. Her husband consoled her by saying that one day he would become the owner of his land. One day they will have land of their own. He assured her that one day he would become the owner of his land. So he also told her that the youth, health, and strength were the gifts to the peasant, to the farmer. Before the year is out, we will be the owner of a farm of our own. So he is basically trying to console his wife, but she was doubtful. She was doubtful of his assurance. The farmer was very upset that his wife got hurt by unsophisticated, heartless observations of the other village woman. So the farmer, while consoling her, the woman started, his wife started to think that I knew my husband had no savings. He is just trying to console me and nothing more than that. So then they have their children, and that means she gave birth to a child, and that means extra. They had to feed extra mouths. The peasant then went to local Patwari with a present and told him everything. The Patwari became happy and assured him to make him the owner of a piece of land. Patwari says, I shall make you a peasant owner. And peasant says, farmer says, but I have nothing to purchase it with. I don't have money. And Patwari says, don't worry, I have given you a word. I shall make you a peasant owner very soon. The Patwari then explained to him how he could become a landholder without having to pay the price. The Patwari advised him to till the piece of land on the outskirts of the village. This land had been recorded as barren, a land too poor to produce much or any vegetation. So, this was a barren land, and Patwari advised him to till that piece of land on the outskirts of the village. The Patwari assured him that he would make him owner of this land anyhow, maybe by bribing officials. So the young peasant and his wife worked hard. They worked on that field with their strength. He was helped by his wife also, and in a few weeks the land was practically fit for cultivation. So the peasant was making preparation for sowing seeds. So the land was ready for cultivation, for sowing seeds. Now in the next video we will learn what happens after that. Thank you.